Hello and welcome to the Punished for Protecting Live broadcast with your host, Francesca Amato, national expert in the Americans with Disabilities Act, domestic violence and child abuse advocate, best-selling author, and founder of Punished for Protecting Incorporated. We welcome all of our viewers watching on Facebook via Punished for Protecting News and the CPS News Network. If you're watching on YouTube at Punish No More and Free to Protect, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. You can also find Punish for Protecting News on Rumble. Now, without further ado, here is your host, Francesca Amato.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching from, and thank you for joining us on Punish for Protecting News today. Today, I have a young man at the age of 14 that that is actually going to be speaking up today about the corruption in family court. This is probably one of the most, well, thank you, Jody. I'm going to actually post what she's saying. She's correct. You took the words right out of my mouth. This is probably one of the most important shows to do. Yes, and actually I'm going to read what Jody's saying here, hearing from a child directly on what this crooked and lawless authoritarian injustice system is really like. For those that think that this is good, think again. Thank you so much, Jody, for that. You actually helped me with my intro today. Whether you're watching by Punish for Protecting News on Facebook, my personal Facebook page, Francesca Amato, or YouTube or Rumble, please be sure to like and subscribe to those channels, as well as sharing this publicly with your entire friends list, and publicly, if you would tag as many people as the venue allows you to tag, that would be helpful because it really, really can help save this child's life. We can come together as a community. Social media is a wonderful, wonderful tool. We have thousands of viewers, and this can really help save this child's life. Today on my interview, I will have Ann Samuelson and Keegan. Keegan is 14. And without further ado, I'm going to bring them both out. But I first would like to show you my second book, which is I Survived a Narcissist. You Can Too. This talks about personal narcissism, governmental narcissism, which covers the family court system and CPS. And it is a very important book that I have recently self-published. So my first book was published through a publicist, and it became a 2-time bestseller. This has been published by myself because it is extremely expensive to publish a book. But I am getting amazing reviews by people that are telling me that they're reading this short little 44-page book and they are literally getting genuine healing. So I encourage you to go ahead on Amazon and go ahead and get that book today. And without further ado, here are my guests, Keegan and Ann.
Hi, Francesca. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for being here. Keegan, everybody is all applauding you and very much interested in hearing what you have to say. But first, I'm going to just ask Grandma Ann if you wouldn't mind just kind of laying a little bit of a foundation about what's going on here, if you could.
Well, this began in 2015, April. Keegan first disclosed abuse when he was 6. He'll be 15 in January. So we've been in family court for 8.5 years, supporting him and his safety and his truth. And we have been in Washington County, which is not the county that we live in, which I think shows the issue of, I guess we have to just call it corruption because, there's money that flows with all of these court proceedings. So presently, jump forward 8.5 years later, in an ex parte hearing, custody of Keegan changed. We were not at the hearing. We were told it was canceled, and he'd been with us for 5 years, my husband and I. And then what ensued after that is September 1st, there were 3 sheriff deputies at our house to come seize Keegan. They got another ex parte order. The deputies could see that Keegan was certainly not in an abusive situation. He ran in the house and shut the door. And my husband was very calm with the police and explained to them, what are we doing here? And we have since been back to court. Currently, my husband and I are separately charged with contempt of court and being charged $500 each a day. And that's a whole nother show. And so then now we have put in a motion to vacate this order of custody. And we went through, then they answered back, opposition answered back. Then we just now answered back again with new evidence because Keegan took a polygraph from one of the best polygraph examiners in the Portland area. And he passed with flying colors regarding whether the abuse occurred or not. And CPS has been involved. CPS always tells him they believe him, and then they just close the case. It's the same pattern of behavior from these agencies every time. And so then, we're hundreds of thousands of dollars into this. And I don't want to focus on the money, but certainly, when almost 25 providers from the family court system have been involved, 6 reunification specialists forcing him to go to therapy. He has some things to say about that are his story, of course. And we're on our second judge, and this judge doesn't even know Keegan, has not spoken to him. Keegan has written him letters, wrote another letter yesterday, which, we brought to the courthouse. Took us 90 minutes to get there from where we live because it's in a different county. So definitely family court needs to be called out for what it is. Higher courts don't want to deal with it, and that's been an issue. We've certainly attempted to do that. And people think this is about conflict, but when it's conflictual, somebody's hurting somebody. That's what my message is. And somebody needs to look at this, and they're making money off of that pain.
That's the whole thing. It's a child trafficking industry, and it's making trillions upon trillions of dollars. So yeah, I have a lot of questions. I do want to say we have an amazing audience, amazing people who follow what we do, and they're all sending their love. I don't know if you can see it, Keegan. Are you able to see all the comments that are coming up on your behalf?
Yeah, I see.
Okay, because they're all rooting you on and all saying how brave you are, and we're very appreciative of that. We do have kids that very rarely do finally speak out, and so this is very important. And one of the things that I wanted to one of the things we talked about prior to coming on the air today, Keegan and I were talking. And that, bear with me when that happens, okay? Just bear with me when that happens. I'm sorry. But one of the things we were talking about was I felt like you were gaslit to the point where you actually were questioning your own sanity, so to speak. And you're 14. And you decided to go take a polygraph, and talk about that. Go ahead and lay that foundation out for people.
Tell people about that.
Yeah. So basically, it is a good idea for me to understand how I just think it's really good for me to help people out in the future, and because I went through, because I have a Bikers Against Child Abuse group that I hang out, and they really support me. They're an amazing group.
You want to tell her about what the polygraph was like?
Yeah, and the polygraph was basically 10 questions, 7 questions, and 3 of them were direct lies, where he wanted me to lie on purpose to see if I could understand the difference. And I was able to answer honestly.
That's like amazing. And this is one of the best, Anne, you were saying this is one of the best polygraph that's out there, correct?
Yes. No, we went to one. This man does. His name it's Fortify Polygraph Examiner. He evaluates some of the worst people, and he does federal work. He's highly, highly qualified. And he actually, just a little educational piece, because I just learned this myself about polygraphs, is he sat Keegan down and he told him, you know, you're a victim. And if this polygraph doesn't come out like you'd like it to, I want you to know it doesn't mean it didn't happen, because the body has memories and sometimes victims don't do well on a polygraph. And he was very hesitant to even do it. And Keegan said, I want to do it. And so we supported him in that. You know, he didn't want him to have another person let him down, because so many in these agencies have let him down.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And because they lie and they cover up and they hide abuse. Can we touch on, let's first of all, let's show everybody this judge, this particular judge right here. This is Judge D. Charles Bailey. Which judge is this? Is this the first judge or the second judge?
He's the second judge.
And which is the one that I court observed? That was not.
Yeah, that was him. He was the
Bailey. Okay. So yeah, we can touch on that some. So he's the one that basically a little bit, and then, you know, obviously we're going to go back to hearing from Keegan. But I want to explain some of this to people who don't understand. You'll get opposing counsel objecting to an ADA advocate or saying very, very ignorant things like, let me give you an example. I need to hear the person's private health information in order to determine if they can have an ADA advocate. That's completely ignorant. When an attorney says it, it actually makes them look really foolish. Unfortunately, the courts are not versed. They're not learned in this at all. These are your various protective rights, and you have what's called immunity that judges do not have when they violate the ADA, when they violate the Constitution, and when they violate human rights. But the courts hide that information from the general public because they've gotten away with it for so many decades.
Yeah, she went.
It's okay. Most of our viewers that are watching this, these are your protections, and it's very urgent. And this is why they try to keep it out. We are literally, I will be educating judges across the nation on this topic. We should start seeing a better change coming this way. But they do not have immunity. They do not have qualified immunity. Neither do the attorneys. Normally, you'll have the opposing counsel attacking that. Now, you would never ask a person in a wheelchair what was wrong with them because you think you see it, but you're not a doctor, so you don't know what's quote unquote wrong there. And so one of the most discriminated against disabilities is invisible disability. And people like myself also have immunity, and I have a legal right to do what I do. They also violate that an ADA advocate can't speak in the court. They say that we can't, but I do speak in court all the time, and I'm not in jail, okay? Because I'm legally allowed and I'm federally protected. I'm not taking on the role of a bar member attorney, okay? I am literally a distinct and separate role completely. And so when a judge says I can come in and look, what do I care? You think I want to be in court? Do you want to be in court? Nobody wants to be there. I'm not there because I enjoy the scenery. Okay. You know, we'd rather be somewhere else. I'm not there to watch the paint dry on the wall. I'm there for my client, and I'm acting as a specific service to that client. And so I'm interpreting, I'm doing a whole host of things. I'm looking at body language. I'm watching if you're in stress or trauma, or if you're under duress, if you're being forced, if you're being coerced. If I'm looking for so many different things that I have the legal right to do, and you have the legal right to have me do for you. So what I observed in that court was just, all I got to do was observe. I didn't get to speak. I couldn't chat. I couldn't verbally say things. I may have said a word or two, I think, but they do not understand. And I can see how backwards that court is. And then they want to continue to fall on best interest of the child. But here's the child. Child is here today to speak on, do you feel, Keegan, in any way, shape, or form that they were out for your best interest? That they were out for your better?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So let's talk about now your mom and dad and what's happened and why you ended up with grandma, so that the audience can get that foundation and why you're afraid to go there.
Well, I ended up with my grandma because my mom took me there in February of 2019, and she knew it would be safe for me to live with them because she knew I didn't feel safe at McCleary's back then. And so she took me there, and I have lived with them for 5 years now, almost.
Yeah, that was in February, and we attained emergency custody, and then my husband was given custody in May, which that's another show about the sexism of custody. So the judge actually announced, if you get a divorce, if we as grandparents get a divorce, that was why he gave him to my husband. But it actually worked out in the end because it has protected me from some of the abuse I would have otherwise endured if I was in front with him. He was able to, he's able to stand in front of us because it's a very abusive system, highly abusive.
It is highly abusive. What were you afraid of at the house when you were there prior? When you say the McClearys and so on, what was going on there?
I was afraid of them abusing me.
So they had already been abusing you?
Yes.
And you didn't want it to continue. Do you want to some of the abuse or not? It's up to you. You don't have to.
Just some of the abuse.
Yeah, you don't have to tell specifics.
Yeah.
I think Keegan is pretty careful about how he shares that, what he says, and who he always has been. So, it's something that he has been working with therapy for a long, long time and put in a lot of work on that.
Yes.
So when you have PTSD, it's, it's a whole another ballgame, and he certainly has that, but he's really aware. Do you want to tell about what happened last January, Keegan?
Yeah. In January of 2023, I had to have supervised visits with my my real parents, and my grandparents were trying to get a supervisor, but the judge ignored that, and we never did that.
Right, we never did that, but we had written a motion for us to pay for supervision, to have like a qualified person if he was going to force these visits. And he didn't even deny the order. He just ignores our orders and our motions that we've been putting in. And so here we sit, and then we look like the bad guys because we're not promoting all this visitation. Well, Keegan is 6 feet tall now. He's not at our house because of we're forcing him by any stretch of the imagination. He chooses to be there. So, but what happened last January?
If you have any of the internet issues, just bear with us because it clears up. It does clear up quickly. Keep going, Ann.
So, Keegan, do you want to talk about what happened last January? You had to go to the doctor. Why did you need to go to the doctor?
I had to go to the doctor because I had some night terrors because of the abuse.
They like to mess with us when we tell these stories. I'm probably the most messed with broadcaster there is.
Right.
And so what did the doctor do?
Okay.
He gave me medication.
And that helped with the night terrors and the nightmares, because we would hear it. We have kind of a big house, and we would hear him yelling in the middle of the night and run upstairs, and it was night terrors. It was nightmares. And so we thought, what are we going to do? Because what that did is that instigated, this visitation order instigated. And the judge said, well, you can just find a couple of your friends to do it. And we were like, this safety is number one. So with this particular judge, I don't know, you never know who talks to who, but he's certainly biased. Certainly biased.
I mean, I can attest to it because I've been there to observe, and I can attest to it. I've been with you for now well over a year.
Yeah.
Well over a year. I want to read Tammy's message here to Keegan, because I know this is not an easy thing for you to do, Keegan, and I know you're also in trauma, and you're an absolutely amazing young man, and I've enjoyed our conversations and doing what we could on our end to help you. But everyone is rooting for you. You have everybody supporting you. Everybody is happy that I hate when it does this. I hope that gives you some peace, but I want to read this because I thought it was important. Tammy said, Keegan, thank you for being brave enough to speak out about what you've been forced to live through. By speaking your truth, you are helping us dismantle this corrupt and evil system. So God's given you a job. He's given you an assignment, and it's not fun. We know that, but it'll be worth it in the long run. You've had to deal with police coming to your door. You've had to deal with them several times. I want to put up a letter that you wrote. I'm going to put up 2 letters that you wrote. I don't know if you want to go ahead and read that out loud. This one was November 9th. Is that 20? My eyes are not, I'm not able to. Let me see. It's 2023. So that was just a couple days ago. 2 days ago, 1 day ago. You want to go ahead
and read it?
Fine, I'll read it. It said, Dear Judge Bailey, how come no one is listening to me about the abuse, and why don't I have a lawyer representing me in court? ? And also, I would like to have an attorney who lives in the same place as my therapist, and one that can actually represent me instead of some attorney who doesn't really want to help me, just wants money from me. When is someone going to help me? And when is somebody going to listen to me? Because I've been telling the truth for 8 years now, and it has been rough this year because I've had police officers come out to the house to seize me, and I've had to miss school because of your decisions, and I really hope that somebody will finally listen to me. Sincerely, Keegan.
So it's amazing because, this is where they're calling best interest of the child, but the child's missing school. Now, if a parent made a child miss school, they'd be going after them for that. But it's okay when the court system does it, or the court system moves a child from one place to the other abruptly. And say that child's on some kind of medication. They don't get their medication sometimes for weeks out. But that's supposed to be the best interest. Let's not even touch how much trauma they're putting kids through by these crazy moves. When the child is happy and healthy and stable and doesn't want to leave. And the child has what's called human rights. These are their human rights. Keegan, this is another one written. This is a little different, this one, correct? On the same day, November 9th, 2023?
No, that's a different one.
Did you want to go over that one too?
And he did a different one. Let me see if I can find the other one.
I'm not going to be able to get it. We don't have production to do that right now, so that's okay. So here's some things we're going to look at. I've got a huge list here of criminal activity, and I'm going to go ahead and put some of this up on the screen. It's the best I can do here. They had to take screenshots of it. We're going to go back to all your comments. We do thank you guys for all the comments. It's really encouraging to Keegan, and so please keep them coming. But here we have some, and I don't know if you want to kind of, what you can see, but if you want to kind of talk about some of the criminal history and who this belongs to.
This is Keegan's father, and this is it's a summary of contacts, and the redacted ones, I was told, the Gerhardt one is a domestic violence incident between a mother and father, and paternal grandparents were involved in that one as well. And the big redacted one that you saw was basically a menu of events and contacts with father. And as I understand it, there are 8 unprosecuted child abuse charges on there that nothing has happened with for quite some time. I just recently received that when I just decided to go to all the local police departments in our county and ask for police reports in relationship to mom and dad. And I was surprised at what I came up with, because when these investigations go on, you're not really told anything. And then you're left hanging and you're sort of in the abyss. And then if CPS closes a case or the DA chooses not to prosecute or whatever happens, you're kind of the last to know if you ever know.
Right. Right. We're getting close to go to like a midstream intermission. But before we do, because we have a lot more to show the audience, we have a lot more of the criminal documents that we have. Please bear with the camera when it does this Wi-Fi issue. Those that are going to watch this after it's live, that won't happen. It'll just play through. This is the kind of interference that I get, especially when we have specific stories that they don't want us telling. But you guys, I mean, you, first of all, Anne, you must have been, I mean, I'm asking a question I already know the answer to, but they don't, in complete shock when you saw this happening. Like, you go in as a normal, decent human being, doing everything you possibly can, giving this child a beautiful, safe, and loving life, watching him thrive. And then all of a sudden, you're the guilty one. I mean, how did that make you feel?
Well, it's the pattern. You know, you wrote Punished for Protecting, Francesca, and I read it like probably 3 years before I ever met you personally. But here's the scenario. When we first went to court and assisted our daughter in getting custody financially, and we supported her 8.5 years ago, Judge Raines literally stood up in the courtroom and stated, "We have well-to-do grandparents here." And I thought it was the oddest thing. And then we're in this, I don't know, maybe a year. And we're at the end of every hearing with Judge Raines, he would hand out chocolate candy gold coins. And he handed one to my husband, and my husband looked up at him and said, "Your Honor, I think we're up to spending about 100,000 so far." And he smiled at him and said, "I don't doubt it." So it's really about money. All of this is about money. Just recently, the last time we were in court, we had refused to turn our tax returns over. They wanted our tax returns. And we just refused to do it. And because why? Why would we do that? And so as we were leaving the courtroom, Judge Bailey yelled at my husband, "Mr. Samuelson, I noticed your income is down," which was very odd. And, you know,
wow.
I mean, so they're watching us. And so we also had about 3-4 years ago, had a tremendous amount of Dun and Bradstreet inquiries on us because we were mailed. So people were identifying we had assets. So if we were broke, they wouldn't have any interest in us. You know, there's a public.
They still are, because they go after rich and poor, but they're going after real estate and all kinds of things. They're going after anything they can get, because they're getting out of federal funding.
Yeah, but right now we're being billed $1,000 a day for every day that we don't force him to go there.
Yeah, which you could do the same back, actually. We can get into that. Before we go, we're going to go to an intermission here. So for anybody that needs help, you'll see how you can get help. And then please wait, because we have more to this story. We have more from Keegan. But I just want to say, Anne, just for the sake of the audience that's watching, that's gone through this, and we've had a lot of successful cases that come out perfectly fine after all this insanity and trauma. And convoluted, cases. How has Punished for Protecting in our team treated your family, and how expensive were we, or were we soaking you for money, or do we charge you for this broadcast today?
No, you didn't charge me for this broadcast. And when you were with us, we didn't understand until I found you that we had ADA, that we had rights. You forget you have civil rights when you're in this mess, and like First Amendment right. Keegan identified, Keegan learns about this stuff in school. He learns about his civil rights in school. And what is it that your 14th Amendment right is, Keegan?
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, we talked about that. How this is messing that up.
Yes, it sure is. His articles, the articles of human rights, it's messing up for children, because he has rights and he has feelings and he has emotions and he has desires and he has wants and needs, and they're actually telling him, no, you can't have that. No, if you're a victim, and it's just too bad, we're going to re-victimize you. So let's go to the infomercial, and we will be right back after this message.
We'll be right back after a message from Punished for Protecting Incorporated. Each new generation of protective mothers is shocked when they first go to family court and find it doesn't favor single mothers and is willing to jeopardize children. Francesca's harrowing experience with the broken family court system, from which she finally received justice after 8 months of struggle, is proof that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Francesca has one of these unspeakably cruel cases and has responded by shining a large spotlight on widespread failures so other mothers won't be shocked. Punished for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court by Francesca Amato Banfield, advocate, mother, whistleblower, founder, and TV talk show host of Punished for Protecting. If you are struggling with injustices wrought by our courts, this book will help guide you through the process. Available on Amazon.com. Search Punished for Protecting and get your copy today. Help abolish family court by purchasing Punished for Protecting merchandise. Here are our top sellers. See the link in the YouTube video description to find out how to get your Punished for Protecting t-shirt. Get your high-quality Punished for Protecting t-shirt while supplies last, and let everyone know that you stand for justice. Are you being re-victimized by the family court system? Do you need help with your case? Go online and book a talk with Francesca. Go to punished4beingAparent.com/book-a-talk. Fill in your name, email address, and message to Francesca. Someone will get back to you within 24 hours. Francesca and her staff of volunteers continue to work tirelessly every single day for parents and children who are in need of their help. There have been multiple success stories, including Francesca's, which gives hope to others in similar situations. Punished for Protecting Incorporated has incurred out-of-pocket expenses with zero funding to help families get their children back or to save their children from being taken. We also have provided funds to help with retainers, food, lodging, and travel. We really need your help so we can continue to provide our many services. Any amount is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to donate or sponsor a family in need of help, go to Cash App, Free the Children. And now back to our broadcast.
So we're here with Anne and Keegan. Today, Keegan is 14 years old, and he is speaking out about the family court and what he has personally endured and been through. I thank the audience because they're just encouraging Keegan on. We've got message after message of families that are so thankful that you are here today. So you really are a voice for children right now, and I am super proud of you, and just really glad that you're doing this today, Keegan. I want to talk about, you said there was someone on, I think you said on TikTok, is it? Or some kid that you're following. Why don't you talk about that a little bit, and then how you'd like to continue to be a voice for kids?
Well, his name is Stupid Flipper, his account name, and he's made multiple videos about his abuse story, because his first video was him him barricading himself in his room to hide from the police because they were gonna like take him, and that was his only option to be safe, and that was the video that made him viral on TikTok.
Yeah, and my son went through that too, except they did take him. And he was hyperventilating and clinging to me, and it changed him forever. And then we went viral after that, and thank God above, he's home and he's home and safe and has been here. And Sarah Moore's child hid up in his room. That's the woman that just did the 964 miles walk to Washington, D.C. For that many children that have actually been killed because of family court judges. There's actually thousands upon thousands. There's not under 1,000, but these are specific children that she was able to find. And she did the walk, and her son is actually a prodigy, and he is blind and he sings. So you can check that out. But everybody's saying they're so thankful, and it's ironic because just when I asked you, we had We the People say, Keegan, what would you say to hundreds of thousands of other children out there in your situation to give them hope and inspiration to be brave like you?
Keep fighting.
Can you say it a little louder?
Keep fighting.
Yes, definitely keep fighting. Keep fighting. I see horrific cases, and we do get children back home. I'm sorry for the Wi-Fi. I do believe I'm being affected by social media because I have beautiful Wi-Fi, mind you. I have 5 perfect Wi-Fi. This always happens when we're telling certain types of stories. It always happens to me. Everybody that follows me knows I'm probably one of the most censored people on the planet. It's unreal. Yes, Sarah Moore. Here's one. Yes, my son is almost 30 and wanted to come back home, so he is now in his own bed. Praise the Lord. I'm very happy to hear that. So we said that we were going to show some more of these, these documentation that shows the criminal record. Just give it a second. It's coming on the screen. And I would like you guys to talk about it more. Is it showing up? There we go. If Ann, you want to kind of touch on these?
Well, they're all redacted, so I don't really know what they are, a lot of them, which is part of the problem. Nobody knows what anyone is doing. And then if you get with these agencies, you don't know if they're talking to police. You don't know, you're just sitting there on pins and needles, waiting for the next shoe to drop, literally. And there's child safety is, at least in Oregon, I don't know where it is. I will tell you. And I used to be a juvenile probation officer and work with kids. And I think 30 years ago, we were doing a better job. This whole system has escalated to complete monetization of children.
100%. This is why I was led to write the second book that I just recently published and could not afford. It's so annoying. I'm sorry. I couldn't afford to do it because it's literally like $20,000 to publish a book with a publicist. So I did self-publish this book, and it literally goes into, because I've always exposed it as a child trafficking industry, but it goes into why this is happening to families and why exactly what you just said, Ann, about it deteriorating and getting worse now than it was before. And and I firmly believe because the more we kick God out, the more the government encroaches in. And the more that there's these like fake churches out there that are preaching a fake garbage, anything goes system, the more that the government is encroaching in on families. And I'm telling you that I'm not trying to I'm not making anything hardly off of this at all, but I'm telling you, people are literally telling me their lives are changing in 44 pages. I literally felt led by God. I stayed up all night long writing this book. Okay. It is. So you've got this one, which is what I went through, my son went through. And, it has lots and lots of parental rights laws under case law in the back. But it's very encouraging and inspiring because it was horrible what we've been through. Absolutely horrible. The difference is that he did go into danger, and he did, like I told you. But then this is more of like much more hope filled, because people suffer from a narcissist every day. And I feel that the court system is a narcissistic court system. Okay. And in the scripture, it talks about Jezebel, which is the same spirit. So there's a lot of people out there right now that are talking about narcissism. Okay. And they don't really know what they're talking about, or they just tell you to hate the person that's a narcissist. People become this way because they've suffered something. They're not all horrible. Okay. And they shouldn't be just tossed to the curb. Unlike judges, obviously, who shouldn't be in positions to make orders. That's completely different. But what we're talking about, the different types of narcissism and the different types of people. I personally don't think judges are human, so that's another subject right there. But there is AI out there. But when I'm talking about beings in human life, the way you get free is through forgiveness, and this book actually touches on that, which is very different than what others are telling you about narcissists. And you should keep your safety. Obviously, always keep yourself safe. Always keep yourself safe. But let's go back to, I had these other pictures, which I did show on the screen of you, Keegan, because I think you were 9 when you moved in with grandma, right?
Right.
And how old would you say you were?
9 or 10. It was.
I think I was 10.
He also lived with us through his whole entire 3rd grade, so he was with us before that as well.
Okay. So I just kind of want to put these back up again. This is just you with your family and your happy life. And, nobody should be robbing that from you. Nobody should be taking that from you or any child. And you do really well, aside from like this stuff going on in your life, with living with your grandparents, you do very well in school. You're obviously, just hearing you're very smart, you're very articulate, you're very together, this has been a real disruptor, in a lot of ways. And do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like the failures of the court system?
Well, it's just upsetting because I want people to understand me, and it's gone on for this long because nobody's done anything.
Yeah.
And one of the things too that Keegan goes to a really small school, and he tells me on the way home in the car that other people the kids in his school don't have the problems he has with having to deal with all this. So there's an isolating factor having to deal with this, chronic fear of family court.
Right. That no child should have to go through. And I know that my followers I know, and I myself and have been praying for be strong through all of this. And obviously, like I said, you are definitely being used to help other kids to speak out and have a voice. Right now, how has it been with they have showed up at your house? I did see. I saw, what was it, a video or something from your camera? Your outside actually showed. Yeah.
It was a video. Apparently, the McClearys came out to our house, and they were gonna attempt to take me. And at first, the guy was friendly, and then a couple seconds later, he's like, "Where's his things?" Like, kind of like that type of tone,
Yeah. Keegan, is there anything that we didn't touch on today during this interview that you want to talk about?
I have a CPS worker named Liz Sommers that came out to my house, and she wanted to talk to me, and I literally stayed home from school just for that. And then she also came to my school a couple of times, and I didn't even know about it. Like, I had to leave class, and I asked my teacher, like what's happening? Why do I have to get sent to the office? And
Right.
apparently she has no idea. But but I but I just kind of um decided to not be anxious about seeing her after at school.
Yeah.
And I thought it was crazy, like, the first time, like, she knew where I went to school already.
Yeah.
And it interrupts your education. It interrupts your workday, and you're supposed to be, you're a kid. You should be focusing on. It's enough stress in school to be focusing on growth.
Right.
Then you have to have this person, stranger, come in with interrogation instead of education. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And
Ridiculous.
and then my school actually locks the doors, so then I have to get somebody to open the door for me, and it just seems like a hassle for me.
Yeah. What do you mean by they lock the doors? I don't understand what you mean.
Well, what I mean is that whenever you leave the building, they lock the door automatically lock.
Yeah. Yeah. For safety precautions and so on.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're older, you're kind of that's kind of tiring for you.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened with the CPS?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and another thing that happened with the CPS worker was Liz later on, I found out that Liz actually closed my case
That's the
because she didn't want to be bothered.
and she didn't want to be bothered, folks. Didn't want to be bothered.
Yeah, like she didn't want to be bothered, she says.
Mm-hmm. She actually told you that?
Well, no, but like my grandma.
I think that's how it feels. I think
Gets
that's how it feels. You know, and then we're never told. They just and then I called to find out if there were any details that we needed to know to tell Keegan, because he's almost 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And because she told him she believed him, and they said call the 1-800 number. So call the 1-800 number.
1-800 number. Get it.
So who called the 1-800 number the other day?
I did.
Good for you. So
And
Keegan,
hear that story, because I think it's pretty funny.
If you could tell your parents and the court, because I'm sure they're going to be watching, or anybody that's affected your life and negatively impacted your life, that you were doing fine and you were feeling safe and you were doing well. And just to let you guys know that are watching, ACE research shows that when you do this kind of trauma to someone, a child, you're actually taking up to 20 years off of their life in years to come. That's not going to happen to you because you've got a great family here that's going to help you heal through all this.
So basically what you're saying is that it's like 20 years on top of that because they spent 8 years lying.
Yeah. And it's the trauma. It's all the trauma and what it does. And so what would you like to say to them that won't leave you alone? And what would you want to say to them? How do you want to reach out now? Sorry, I'm getting massive messages on here. And what would you want to say to people, not just about you too, about what they're you and to the other children that are out there that need to be left alone and stay safe with their beloved families?
I would just like them to keep fighting.
Mm-hmm. No, but I mean, what would you want to say to your parents that are wanting you to go with them, the judges that are forcing you to go where you don't want to be? What would you want to say?
Leave me alone. I would like to say leave me alone.
I'm still here. You can keep going.
That's pretty much all I would say. Like, leave me alone, and I'm not, and you hurt me, and I'm not gonna, and I don't want to see you again.
And if I could also add to that, why would you want somebody to be forced to be with you?
Right.
Why would you want to force a kid to be with you that doesn't want to be with you? As a judge, why would you want to force a kid that's afraid of somebody into the hands of a person or people that they're afraid of.
Exactly.
Where is this? Where does in God's green earth can anybody wrap their head around this making any sense at all? This child is thriving. He's not just living, he's thriving at home. He's happy there. He's at peace. He shouldn't have to be looking over his shoulders at 14 years old.
Francesca, I think another dynamic here that's of interest, that's unusual about our story, is, Keegan has learned all about civil rights in school since he's been there. They focus on that.
Work now.
And we were having a discussion about the 14th Amendment right, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And Keegan said to both Dave and I, my husband, they're messing that up. And so on Keegan's behalf, we filed a federal civil rights lawsuit based on the 14th Amendment. And it is currently in federal court.
Yes.
Based on that 14th Amendment right. And we named this judge.
Yes.
This judge received a subpoena.
Keep naming them. Yep.
And after he was subpoenaed, he changed custody of Keegan in an ex parte hearing. And he has not declared a conflict of interest. We've attempted to recuse him, and we can't get there. So here he is, financially penalizing us for protecting, punishing us for protecting. I've used your term in a number of our communications with the court, and still making decisions, and he doesn't think he's biased, yet this is the moves he has made. He lost the list of the best interest of the child.
That's the thing that's always gotten me. So I can't stand it that there's no accountability over a judge deciding if they're biased or not. A judge deciding if they should recuse off of a case or not, because they know by themselves if they're biased or not. When we see it, I watch these judges all over the country. We see their bias. It's as clear to any reasonable and rational person. We see how.
And you might want to tell about your last attorney turn not too young.
The abuse. Never, ever proceeding to the side of caution. They pretend that they're going to, but they're definitely not. And they're causing disabilities, and they're causing harm, and they're exacerbating disabilities, and then they want to try to use those disabilities against people. I don't remember the name of the judge, but he's that very kind judge. I believe he's retired now. He's all over social media, and as people come up, if they're poor, he doesn't charge them. He dismisses all their cases. I saw a video with him the other day. I wish I could think of his name. If somebody knows it, please put it in comments. You'll know who I'm talking about. And what happened was, he said one of his very first cases, he had his dad there, who was also a judge, and a mom with 3 children came up, and she had like all kinds of parking tickets living in the city, which is not hard to accumulate because you try to go places and you can't park. And she had 3 kids that she needed to support, single mom. She gets up there and she said, "I'm sorry, I'm not paying for this. I can't pay for any of it. I can't afford it. I've got 3 kids." And she wasn't respectful, and she wasn't kind. She was just dramatized. And the judge was like, well, he said, this was his first time on the bench. Is that it, Frank Caparo? Thank you. That's the judge. Now he is literally, he should change. He should educate all these evil rogue family court, whatever they are, things. But his father corrected him. Okay. So on that day, he said, well, what can we do to work out a payment plan? And she said, I'm not paying it. I can't afford anything. So he charged her the full 300 and whatever it was in tickets, and just went to the next case. So he goes over to his dad when he was done, and he says to his dad, how'd I do? And he said that this breaks his heart to this very day. He was in tears when he told the story. He said, his dad said to him, how could you do that? But she was rude, Dad. He said, she was scared. Like, why can't they have this rationale? She was scared. You're not supposed to be a dictator. You're not supposed to be a dictator. You're supposed to be a referee. And they need way more education, and we need our laws, our federal protected laws, to be secured in these haphazard courts. Okay. So he told him, he said, what you did was wrong. And from that day forward, he had nothing but mercy for people. And you'll watch case after case after case. He's viral. where people would come before him and he had mercy on them. See, without judicial mercy, you've just got judgment. And that's not the way we treat human life. And that's why I despise the family court system. It has been nothing but horrible. It is the child trafficking industry. I don't care who attacks me. I don't care who objects to me. I don't care what opposing counsel comes against me during courts. When I'm in court with these people, I fear none of them. Okay, I fear God, and that's it. And I will continue to fight for families, period, the end. And we all need to support children like this, like Keegan. Your voice is a voice for, you can't even imagine how many kids. This has to stop. It needs to be abolished. It is evil. It is not, it is just absolutely not what it's supposed to be. Not what it's supposed to be. So, Keegan, thank you so much. I can't even, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, because I've had kids who wanted to come on and just never did. They just never could do it. Even kids that we've gotten home out of abusive, horrible situations, they just never did. And so I don't even know if you understand what you did today, how beneficial it is, how powerful it is. You know, I talked about her in my book. I always talk about Rosa Parks. She was arrested, as you know, the history, for doing the right thing. And it is scary to do the right thing. You know, you're shaking in your boots to do the right thing, but look at the change that she has brought into our world. You're that model right now. You're that same type of model right now. So I can't thank both of you and Grandma and Grandpa for being the fighters that they are. Man, let me tell you, you guys are rock stars. I mean, you are clearly rock stars. And I don't, if you guys would like to finish anything you want to say before we wrap up today.
Well, I think Keegan had another point that he wrote down that he hadn't said yet.
Oh, do. Please do.
Okay, so I had my grandparents took me to an attorney in May of 2022, and her name was Amy, and she didn't seem to represent me like she was supposed to, and she actually erased my abuse from the record, and tried to act like it never happened.
She actually made a motion to erase his abuse history from the case. And the judge put the gavel down and agreed with that. So she changed Keegan's story.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is absolute evil and wickedness. That falls under Title 18, Sections 241 and 242. Everybody look it up. It is absolutely disgusting. This is our justice system, guys. This is our justice system.
It is not justice.
It's insane.
Go to any county, and if they have a family law center, they call it. I was there the other day to get a motion form because I was pro se on my contempt charge that I'm being charged with. And I filed for a reset, which I was denied. And I said I wanted an attorney, and that was why I wanted the reset. So I was there at 8 o'clock in the morning, got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get there on time and get in line. And he denied me. I don't even think he read my request. And when I got there, I voiced my Sixth Amendment right was being violated. And he said, well, you know, basically this is domestic relations court. So, you know, where'd you read that you don't have to have an attorney? I said, Your Honor, you could put me in jail. So, and then he told me he appreciated that I knew the power of the court. And then I said to him, as an officer of the court, I was being very respectful to him. He interrupted me and yelled at me, I am the court. So I said, well, now where am I going to go with that?
You know?
Obviously, we aren't working together here. This is not in the best interest of the child. This has nothing to do with a child's mental health, safety, or anything. So, you know, I sat there and took it. But I'm kind of older and ornery. And so, but I went into the family law center just to get this form, and I was dressed in a suit. So I guess I must have looked like a lawyer. And I can't tell you the sobbing of these protective parents that were coming in there, trying to beg for help, trying to do it. Legislators need to go stand in that room for a day and see what goes on there and see the abuse that's going on there. If you're going to serve the people and make laws, you should be looking at what's really happening. This is a nightmare.
They're not serving the people. I've been before Congress multiple times. You guys have seen it. I have the broadcasts on my YouTube channel. I've been before every single Congress member, right side, left side. It does not matter. They are full of it. They don't care. They know this is a multi-trillion-dollar business. They don't care. It's bringing in money. They don't care. And the quicker people realize that, the quicker we can filter through. Okay, that what they care about is exposed and hitting them in their financial. Hey, that Maya case just won. Look at what it just won. Okay, we are definitely gaining. There's no question that we're gaining ground. Okay, there's no question about it. I know by when I go into these courts, I see the difference. I've been doing this for over 16 years now. I know. So when I give the negative, I'm also giving the positive. Okay, we are not going to fail. We're going to win. We do win, and we do save children out of this sick, evil system. The problem is that America has fallen asleep. New York State has fallen asleep. It really cringes me because New Yorkers used to be one for all, and we fight and we don't play, and everybody's asleep in New York. They're asleep. We have more conservative people in New York than we do people that are crazy on the other side. Okay, we do, but because of the elite little pockets that pay for everything, it looks a certain way. But we're not. I live here. I know the state. I've been up and down it a million times. I know people all over the place, not just New York though. Okay, everywhere I turn where I know people, and social media gives you that opportunity to get to know people. This is it. People are not for what's happening, but they're not fighting. That's the problem.
Well, I think part of the problem, but Francesca, part of the problem is people are so literally spent when they go through this abusive situation, and you've got these family court providers who are in this clique. The first time when this first began, we went to Keegan's parents. I ended up paying the $8,500, but this Dr. Vienne, who the judge then referenced as the gold standard. Keegan was seeing a trauma therapist then, Janine Bouchain, who was amazing, did amazing work with him when he was little and disassociative. She just did fabulous work with him. And he had a relationship with her, and it was helping. It was massively helping. And he had made the recommendation after speaking to the other side, of course, that this therapist was poisoning him against his father, which couldn't have been further from the truth. She was working on stabilizing Keegan. And so he stood up in court, slammed down the report, and he said, "You hired the gold standard. I didn't even read it. We will go with his recommendations." That was the same time we were well-to-do grandparents. So it's kind of like being cattle, is how I reference it.
Yeah.
And we're in a chute and we're going to slaughter, and we don't really know it. Mm-hmm. We don't really know how bad it's going to get when we get in there.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're hanging, and you just keep writing checks and checks and checks and checks, which is what we've done.
Don't do it. Don't write so many checks. Believe me when I tell you, especially into the system itself. Believe me when I tell you, because I did that route too, and I won without attorneys. That's how I won every time, was without attorneys, except for like the one that we know that we love, that specific person, which I'm going to be interviewing, obviously. And there is a couple. There's a handful out there. Very limited. We do have to wrap. And also, because if I can get this on the Now Network, I would like to keep it within the time, because I would like to have this particular show air on there as well. Keegan, anything else that you want to say before we hit the
I'm okay.
You sure, honey? I make sure.
I just want to say keep fighting, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, again, thank you guys both so very, very much. Everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Continue to share this, because this is an important message that needs to get out. Any teenagers that are watching, any younger kids that want to come on, hopefully Keegan kind of paves the way here for you. You guys can get a hold of me, and we'd be happy to interview you as well. Thank you, everyone. Everyone's thanking Keegan and Grandma for being on and for sharing your story today. We greatly appreciate it. Guys, there is hope. Always remember that, please. And if you go to Amazon, you can get either of my books. But I really encourage the second one right now, because that's the one that's bringing the most healing to people. And you need to be healed up. You need to have that strength to be able to go forward and to go on. And I really feel that that's what this book is doing. Matter of fact, I even lowered the price on it because I was able to get in there and do that. So I even took it down so more people can get it. And you can also get it for free if you have, what is it called? Amazon Prime. For Amazon Prime, you can watch it. You can read it right on Kindle, or you can get a hard copy. I think it's marked down from $20 now to like $15. So go ahead and grab that book and get some healing, because it's important. Because I have to tell you, I've been doing this for over 16 years. I got burnt out a couple years ago, and I just didn't want to do it at all. And the Lord just literally gave me strength. And now I've got like just all this. I want to go forward and want to go forward and want to go forward and keep going. He does give us strength. So that's important. So you can continue to fight. Like Keegan says, continue to fight and never give up. Again, thank you guys. God bless you. I really appreciate you guys being here. And everyone, the more you share, the more you protect Keegan right now. So please get this message out. Thank you guys, and have a great day. Thank you very much. And thank you for being on the show today.